right now we're talking about those times when you return to the same argument over and over again. It's like no matter where the conversation turned to disagreement, turned to argument, no matter where it starts, it always goes back to that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when it does that, obviously it sounds like there's a deeper issue, right? A lot of times our arguments, we get set off because the dishes aren't done or something, but usually it traces back to like something else. So part of that is awareness. Like you've got to have self-awareness and relationship awareness, like of your dynamics, and just dig. You have to dig in there, and find what's underneath that's really causing the issue.
Yeah. So we're going to cover a couple of reasons why this happens very frequently for couples, and then some things that you can do. So this first reason that we see this happening is that you can just get into a habit of returning to something comfortable. And this can even be something that you don't like, but it's comfortable. You know how to operate there. You know how to make that jab. You know how to get to that place of a big impact. Even though you don't love it, it's a pattern that comes more naturally. It's comfortable.
And we, as humans, are creatures of habit and pattern. And so studies show that people generally go back to what's familiar versus what's better.
Yeah.
And so we really have to wake up in these situations and realize, hey, this is not about going to what's familiar. You're not going to what we've been trained to go to, what conditioned to go to in the past. We want to go to something better. It's that saying, like, if you keep doing things the way you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always had. And so it's really stepping into a new mindset, a new framework, a new perspective.
Yeah. And so I want you guys to kind of think about, why is this happening for you? Is it because it's super comfortable? Is it because you don't truly believe a resolution is possible, and so you kind of keep going back to this spot? Is it because you know the thing that gets under your partner's skin and makes a strong punch, and so you pull it out anytime that you feel attacked or insecure? Or maybe even that you go into defensive mode. Neither of you are really listening, and it just becomes this kind of at each other moment. So the first thing for you to do here is to ask yourself, why do we keep coming to this? Why is this happening? What is it that we are leaning into or defaulting to?
Yeah, and I want to add, when it gets to a level where you are intentionally saying something to hurt the other person, you're not really in your best self. Your goal is not to hurt your partner, right? The reason we do this, it's human, it's normal, it's not good, but it's still like very normal, because as soon as we feel threatened, that is the natural response. So the issue here is not that you're saying something hurtful. That's really not the problem or the root of the problem. The root of the problem is you have somehow felt threatened in some way, on some level. Whether it has to do with your partner or not, a lot of times it doesn't. A lot of times it has to do with the way we were raised, or past relationships, or some kind of trauma. And so the key there is to see like what it is that makes you feel threatened and challenge that. You're not trying to challenge your partner. You're trying to fight off your partner because they're not the threat. It's all really in your head, if you can realize that.
Well, I think that's a great segue to some of the things that we want to offer that people can do. And that was a great starting point. You can interrupt your natural train of thought. You're unraveling these reactions that happen, and even let your partner know, this might not be about you, but this is bringing up something in me.
Yeah, that's good.
I will admit, you were really good at doing that. And as your partner, I wasn't so good at receiving that and hearing that, and allowing you to create a distance between the issue at hand. I wanted to take it personally. I wanted to make it about the back and forth, and I wanted to solve it right then and there, whether that meant a drag out, knockdown, or not. So this has definitely been a point of evolution and growth for us in our relationship. So this is a challenge to both partners. Be able to interrupt it in your own head, and be able to receive when your partner very vulnerably and boldly shares, this is not going in a safe way for me. This is bringing something up. I need to create some distance here.
Yeah, and that's good. And that's never a fail point to have that space, because if both of you have fallen into Some of the more like like literally you're getting into the brainstem and you're getting into the fight or flight stuff, like that's really what happens. That's never gonna end up as a productive activity. Like, and it's best to say, all right, let's get some space and calm down. Not like you can't get heated or can't get passionate or can't get excited, but for the most part, you've got to gauge, you've got to stay aware of what's happening and keep the relationship, like, hey, we don't want to go down this road. Let's get some space, let's recenter and come back to this, a very important conversation, and deal with it with our best, our best energies.
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple other things that we offer as things to do to interrupt this pattern is to be open to the problem being solved. Allow yourself to think, because our thoughts form our reality. So if we think this is always going to be this way, this person's never going to change, we're always going to fight over this.
That's what you're going to get.
That's what you're going to get. Right. So you have to be open and tell yourself this can change. Maybe it's hard. Maybe it feels like hell, but this can change. Another point here is to have and practice this reminder that you're on the same team. That is something, just that phrase, that changes a lot of heated moments for us. Is like, hey, we're on the same team. Okay, this is not me versus you. This is us versus the world or the problem or whatever it is. So you can also get curious about what you get out of that heightened argument. For me, arguing is like an adrenaline rush. I don't mean everything that I say. I just enjoy the banter and the back and forth. And for you, like, early in our relationship, that was not it. That was not helpful. That was not a good, safe space. So I had to challenge, oh man, what I'm looking for is like a fun banter, a back and forth. I want my adrenaline rushing and my energy going. And I can't lean on you and our situations to produce that for me. I had to see that I'm kind of addicted to getting back to the same argument because it feels so juicy and bad and heightened.
You like to get in there and really be engaged and really just sort of, and I can enjoy that. I've come to understand, like, that can be fun. It really can be. But at the same time, on the other end of the spectrum, is that, like, place of safety that all relationships, need to thrive and grow and be vulnerable and all that.
And the last tip is for you to set aside some time to work through this particular issue, this particular trigger point when you are not in a heightened state. So interrupt the pattern, interrupt the moment when you know it's not going in a healthy direction, and say, okay, you know what? There is a root issue here. Let's find a time to intentionally talk about it when we're not heightened, when we're not, reactive with our emotions, but we can be proactive in figuring out what is the issue, what are the steps we need to address that, and, how do we move forward together?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our goal is for you to not get stuck in the same ruts, the same, coming back to the same argument, so that you can have healthier conversations and continue to grow together and not feel like you're getting pulled backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because, this partnership's really about going to new places. It's not about, like, hey, we're in love and it's going to be a fairy tale for the rest of our lives. But you're building something, together that's beautiful.